The transmission began at 3:47 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on a Tuesday that would forever change humanity's place in the universe. Dr. Sarah Chen was halfway through her third cup of coffee when the speakers in the Deep Space Monitoring Station crackled to life with something that shouldn't have existed. This is impossible," she whispered, her fingers trembling as she adjusted the frequency calibrations. The signal was clean, purposeful, and undeniably artificial. More importantly, it was coming from a location 47 light-years away, a distance that made any conventional communication method useless. The message, when finally decoded, was simple and terrifying: SOS. Planet designation Kepler 442b. Civilization dying. Please help. Sarah's coffee mug hit the floor, shattering into a dozen pieces that scattered across the linoleum. She'd been monitoring deep space transmissions for 15 years, mostly picking up background radiation and the occasional pulsar. This was the first time she'd ever heard another voice calling out into the darkness. Within 6 hours, every major space agency, government, and scientific institution on Earth had been notified. The message was authenticated, re-authenticated, and analyzed by dozens of independent teams. The conclusion was unanimous: humanity had received its first confirmed communication from an alien civilization, and that civilization was dying. The source was Kepler 442b, a planet orbiting a red dwarf star in the constellation Lyra. According to their best models, the planet should have been capable of supporting life, but it was impossibly far away. Even traveling at the speed of light, it would take nearly half a century to reach them. Any conventional rescue mission was out of the question. That's when Dr. Marcus Webb, a theoretical physicist from MIT, proposed something that sounded like science fiction. "We can't get there," he said during an emergency session of the newly formed Interplanetary Response Council. "But we might be able to help them help themselves." The room fell silent. Presidents, prime ministers, and the world's leading scientists all leaned forward. "Go on," said Director Harrison of NASA. Webb pulled up a holographic display showing the quantum entanglement experiments his team had been conducting. "We've been working on quantum information transfer, sending complex data instantaneously across vast distances. The theory suggests we could transmit not just information, but entire technological blueprints, directly to their location." "You're talking about giving them our technology?" asked the Chinese representative. "Not giving," Webb corrected. "Teaching. If we can establish a quantum link, we can transmit everything they need to save themselves. Our medical knowledge, our engineering solutions, our survival techniques. Everything humanity has learned in our fight to survive and thrive." The debate that followed lasted 3 days. Some argued it was too dangerous. What if the aliens used human technology against Earth? Others questioned whether it was even possible. But the deciding factor came when the aliens sent a second message. Time running out. Star dying faster than predicted. Population, 847 million. Please, we have children. The mention of children changed everything. Dr. Chen, who had become the unofficial liaison with the alien civilization, found herself wiping away tears as she read the translation aloud. "They're not just asking for help," she said. "They're asking us to save their children." The Quantum Relay Project was approved unanimously. What followed was the most intensive scientific collaboration in human history. The best minds from every nation worked together, sharing classified technologies and breakthrough research without reservation. The usual barriers of national security and corporate competition crumbled in the face of a single overwhelming truth: another species needed humanity's help to survive. The quantum transmitter took 4 months to build. It was a massive array of crystalline matrices and particle accelerators that stretched across 3 square miles of the Nevada desert. The power requirements were staggering. They had to redirect electricity from 2 nuclear power plants and 3 solar farms just to make it operational. During construction, the alien messages became more frequent and more desperate. The beings on Kepler 442b called themselves the Zephyrians, and their star was entering its death throes millions of years ahead of schedule. Solar flares were stripping away their atmosphere, and their technology wasn't advanced enough to protect them. "We are what you would call a peaceful species," came one transmission. "We have no weapons, no shields, no way to fight the dying of our star. We put all our efforts into art, music, philosophy, and the care of our young. We thought we had time to develop survival technologies, but we were wrong. Dr. Chen spent sleepless nights coordinating with the Zephyrians, learning about their biology, their culture, and their planet's specific challenges. They were remarkably similar to humans in many ways, carbon-based, oxygen-breathing, with complex social structures and deep emotional bonds. But they were also different in crucial ways that would affect any technological solutions. They're herbivores, Chen explained to the engineering team. Completely non-violent. They've never had to develop defensive technologies because they've never had war, never had predators, never had to fight for survival the way we have. That's beautiful, said Dr. Webb. And also why they need us. Humans are survivors. We've faced extinction events, natural disasters, plagues, and wars. We've learned to adapt, to fight, to overcome impossible odds. That's what they need, our survival instincts translated into technology. The first successful quantum transmission occurred on a snowy December morning. The test signal, a simple mathematical sequence, was instantly received and confirmed by the Zephyrians. The cheers in the control room could be heard for miles. We did it, Chen whispered, staring at the confirmation message scrolling across her screen. We actually did it. But the real work was just beginning. Over the following weeks, humanity began transmitting everything they knew about survival. Not just technical specifications, but the thinking behind them, the desperation, the creativity, the refusal to give up that had driven human innovation for millennia. They sent atmospheric processors designed to work with Zephyrian chemistry. They transmitted plans for underground cities that could shelter billions. They shared medical techniques for treating radiation exposure and genetic therapies for adapting to changing environmental conditions. Most importantly, they sent something the Zephyrians had never had: weapons. I know this is difficult, Chen said during one of their communication sessions. Violence is foreign to your nature. But sometimes, to preserve life, you have to fight for it. These defensive systems will protect your atmosphere from solar radiation. The weapons we're sending aren't meant to harm other beings, they're meant to fight the universe itself. The Zephyrians' response was both grateful and heartbreaking. We understand. You are teaching us to be warriors, not against others, but against extinction itself. This is a concept we never imagined, but we will learn. As the months passed, something remarkable happened. The Zephyrians didn't just implement human technology, they improved it. Their peaceful nature and collaborative society allowed them to refine human designs in ways that had never occurred to Earth's scientists. They developed atmospheric shields that were 300% more efficient than anything humans had created. They designed underground cities that were not just functional, but beautiful works of art that could house millions while maintaining their cultural values. But the most surprising development came when the Zephyrians began asking questions about human history. Why did you develop these technologies? Came one message. These weapons, these survival systems, they speak of great struggle and pain. Tell us about your journey. Dr. Chen found herself in the unusual position of being humanity's historian and biographer. She told the Zephyrians about the Ice Age, about plagues and famines, about wars and natural disasters. She explained how humans had been forced to adapt, to innovate, to survive against impossible odds. We are a species that has faced extinction many times, she transmitted. Each time, we refused to give up. We fought, we adapted, we survived. That fighting spirit, that refusal to accept defeat, is what we're really sharing with you. The Zephyrians' response surprised her. We understand now. You are strong not because you seek conflict, but because you refuse to surrender to it. This is a strength we must learn. The midpoint crisis came 6 months into the project. The Zephyrian star underwent a massive coronal mass ejection that stripped away 15% of their remaining atmosphere in a single day. The quantum transmissions became frantic, desperate. Systems failing. Atmospheric processors can't keep up. Population retreating to underground cities, but not enough space. We're losing people. Please, is there anything else? The control room fell silent. They had transmitted everything they could think of, every technology, every survival technique, every piece of knowledge that might help. The Zephyrians had implemented it all brilliantly, but it still wasn't enough. "We need to think differently," said Dr. Webb. "We've been sending them our solutions, but maybe we need to send them our mindset." "What do you mean?" asked Chen. "Humans don't just survive, we thrive. We don't just adapt to our environment, we change it. We don't just accept our limitations, we overcome them. Maybe what they need isn't more technology. Maybe they need to learn to think like humans." The next transmission to Kepler 442b was unlike anything they had sent before. Instead of technical specifications, they sent philosophy. Instead of blueprints, they sent stories. They transmitted the tales of human triumph over adversity, how ancient peoples survived ice ages, how civilizations rebuilt after destruction, how individuals overcame impossible odds through sheer determination. They sent the story of Ernest Shackleton's Antarctic expedition, where 28 men survived for nearly 2 years in the harshest conditions on Earth. They transmitted the account of the Apollo 13 mission, where human ingenuity and refusal to give up brought 3 astronauts home safely after a catastrophic failure. They shared the tale of the 1970 Bola cyclone survivors, who rebuilt their entire civilization from scratch after losing everything. "This is what makes humans strong," Chen transmitted. "Not our technology, but our refusal to give up. Our ability to find hope in hopeless situations. Our willingness to sacrifice for others. This is what you must learn." The Zephyrians' response came 12 hours later, and it changed everything. "We understand now. We have been thinking like prey, trying to hide from our dying star. But you are teaching us to think like predators, not to hunt others, but to hunt solutions. We will not simply survive. We will prevail." What happened next amazed even the human scientists. The Zephyrians began developing technologies that humans had never imagined. They created atmospheric manufacturing systems that could generate breathable air from solar radiation itself. They built cities that could float in their planet's upper atmosphere, riding the solar winds like sailing ships. They developed biological adaptation techniques that allowed their people to survive in environments that would kill humans. Most remarkably, they began working on something that humans had only dreamed of: stellar engineering. "We will not simply flee from our dying star," came their message. "We will save it." The Zephyrians had developed a plan to use their planet's magnetic field as a massive electromagnetic net, capturing and redirecting the solar material being ejected by their star. Instead of letting it dissipate into space, they would feed it back into the star's corona, essentially performing surgery on a dying sun. "That's impossible," said Dr. Webb when he saw the plans. "The energy requirements alone would be achievable," finished Chen, staring at the calculations. "They're not just using human technology, they're using human thinking. They're refusing to accept that their star has to die." The stellar engineering project took 8 months to complete. The Zephyrians had to build massive orbital platforms around their entire planet, creating a network of electromagnetic field generators that could manipulate solar material on a scale never before attempted. The work was dangerous. 3 of their floating cities were destroyed by solar flares during construction, but they continued. "We have learned from humans that some things are worth fighting for," they transmitted. "Our children deserve to see the stars, not just hide from them." The first test of the stellar stabilization system occurred on a day that would be remembered on both Earth and Kepler 442b forever. The Zephyrians activated their electromagnetic net just as their star began another massive coronal ejection. Instead of stripping away more atmosphere, the solar material was captured, compressed, and fed back into the star's core. The result was immediate and miraculous. The star's output stabilized. The deadly radiation levels dropped to manageable levels. The atmospheric erosion stopped. "It's working," Chen whispered, staring at the incoming data. They actually did it. They saved their star. But the Zephyrians weren't finished. Having learned to think like humans, they began to thrive in ways that amazed their teachers. They developed space-based manufacturing systems that could build entire cities in orbit. They created biological gardens that could terraform dead worlds. They mastered energy systems that could power civilizations for millennia. Within 2 years, the Zephyrians had transformed from a dying species into a thriving spacefaring civilization. They had learned humanity's greatest lesson, that survival wasn't about avoiding challenges, but about meeting them head-on with creativity, determination, and the refusal to accept defeat. The first sign that the rescue mission had become something more came when the Zephyrians began transmitting new technologies back to Earth. "We have learned much from you," their message read. "Now we would like to teach you something in return. We have developed medical techniques that could extend human lifespan by centuries. We have created energy systems that could power your entire world without environmental damage. We have discovered agricultural methods that could feed billions while restoring your planet's ecosystems." The quantum transmissions became a two-way street. The Zephyrians shared their peacekeeping technologies, methods for resolving conflicts without violence, systems for maintaining social harmony, techniques for building societies based on cooperation rather than competition. "You taught us to be warriors," they transmitted. "We would like to teach you to be peacemakers." The exchange of knowledge continued for years. Earth's technology advanced by centuries in a single decade. Human lifespans increased dramatically. Poverty and hunger became things of the past. Wars ended not through conquest, but through the implementation of Zephyrian social harmony techniques. But perhaps the most important change was philosophical. Humanity learned that their greatest strength, their ability to fight and survive, was only valuable when combined with wisdom about when to fight and when to make peace. "We have become better than we were," Chen wrote in her journal. "The Zephyrians needed our strength, but we needed their wisdom. Together, we've both become something greater." The relationship between the two species deepened when the Zephyrians made an announcement that stunned the galaxy. "We have developed faster than light travel," they transmitted. "We would like to visit Earth and meet our teachers face to face." The news sent shockwaves through human society. First contact was no longer a distant possibility, it was scheduled for 6 months in the future. The Zephyrian ship that arrived in Earth's solar system was unlike anything humans had imagined. It was more art than technology, a flowing sculpture of crystalline beauty that seemed to dance through space rather than travel through it. But beneath its elegant exterior was the most advanced technology in the galaxy, a perfect fusion of human survival instincts and Zephyrian peaceful innovation. The first meeting between Dr. Chen and Ambassador Lyrian of the Zephyrian delegation took place in a specially constructed chamber aboard the International Space Station. The Zephyrian was tall and graceful, with luminescent skin that seemed to shift color with their emotions. Their eyes were large and kind, filled with an intelligence that seemed both ancient and childlike. "Dr. Chen," Lyrian said, their voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "We have traveled 47 light-years to say 2 words to you, thank you." Chen felt tears streaming down her face. "Thank you for letting us help. You saved us as much as we saved you." "How so?" Lyrian asked, genuinely curious. "You reminded us what we were fighting for," Chen replied. "For too long, humans used our strength to fight each other. You showed us that our greatest battle should be against extinction, against suffering, against the forces that would destroy life itself. You taught us that our strength has meaning only when it's used to protect and preserve." The Zephyrian delegation spent 3 months on Earth, sharing their knowledge and culture while learning about human society. They were amazed by Earth's diversity, the millions of species, the varied landscapes, the complex ecosystems that had shaped human evolution. "Now we understand," Lyrian said during a visit to the Amazon rainforest. "Humans are strong because your world taught you to be strong. Every challenge, every threat, every struggle shaped you into the survivors you became. Your planet created warriors, and then those warriors learned to protect life itself." But the most significant moment came when the Zephyrians made an unexpected announcement. "We have been in contact with other species," Lyrian revealed during a global broadcast. "There are many civilizations in the galaxy, but most are like we were, peaceful, advanced, but unprepared for the harsh realities of cosmic survival. Some are dying, like we were. Others are stagnating, never reaching their full potential because they've never faced true adversity." "What are you saying?" asked Director Harrison. "We are saying that humanity's greatest strength isn't just useful for survival, it's useful for helping others reach their potential. The galaxy needs teachers, and humans are the best teachers in the universe." The proposal that followed would reshape galactic civilization. The Zephyrians had made contact with 47 other species, many of them facing existential threats or developmental stagnation. They proposed creating a galactic rescue network, with humans as the primary responders and the Zephyrians as the diplomatic coordinators. You could become the galaxy's emergency response team, Lyrian explained. When a species faces extinction, you could teach them to survive. When a civilization stagnates, you could show them how to overcome challenges. When a world faces impossible odds, you could demonstrate that no odds are truly impossible. The idea was initially controversial. Many humans worried about the responsibilities and risks of becoming the galaxy's rescuers. But the deciding factor came when they received a message from a species called the Chromari, whose homeworld was being consumed by a massive volcanic eruption. "We have heard of the humans who saved the Zephyrians," the message read. "Please, our children are dying. We need your help." The first official galactic rescue mission launched 6 months later. A joint human-Zephyrian team traveled to the Chromari homeworld, where they found a species of crystalline beings whose silicon-based bodies were being dissolved by the acidic volcanic gases. The solution required classic human ingenuity. The rescue team developed atmospheric processors that could neutralize the acid, underground shelters that could protect the Chromari population, and most importantly, techniques for the Chromari to adapt their own biology to survive in the changed environment. "We have never seen such determination," transmitted the Chromari leader. "You humans fight for us as if we were your own people." "Why?" "Because you are," replied mission leader Dr. Jennifer Walsh. "We learned something from the Zephyrians: in the face of extinction, all life is connected. Your fight for survival is our fight for survival. Your children's future is our children's future." The Chromari rescue was a complete success. Not only did the species survive, but they thrived, developing new technologies and art forms that were beyond anything they had achieved before facing extinction. They became the galaxy's third member of the rescue network, contributing their unique crystalline technologies to future missions. Word of humanity's success spread throughout the galaxy. Species after species reached out for help, and the Galactic Rescue Network grew to include dozens of civilizations. Each rescued species brought new knowledge, new perspectives, and new capabilities to the network. The Aquari, saved from their dying ocean world, contributed advanced water purification and underwater city technologies. The Voltani, rescued from electromagnetic storms that were destroying their electronic civilization, developed EMP-resistant technologies that revolutionized galactic communication. The Botanari, whose plant-based society was being destroyed by a fungal plague, contributed biological sciences that could cure diseases across species barriers. "We have become something unprecedented," Lyrian told Chen during one of their regular meetings. "A galactic civilization built not on conquest or trade, but on mutual aid and shared survival." But the network's greatest test came when they received a transmission unlike any they had ever encountered. "This is the Hegemon Empire," the message began. "We have observed your rescue activities with interest. Cease all operations immediately or face annihilation. The weak deserve extinction. The strong deserve dominance. Your interference with natural selection will not be tolerated." The Hegemon Empire was everything the rescue network was not. They were a military civilization that had conquered dozens of star systems through superior technology and ruthless efficiency. They viewed the network's rescue activities as a threat to their philosophy of survival of the fittest. "They're coming," reported Dr. Walsh during an emergency council meeting. "Our deep space monitors show a fleet of 300 ships heading toward the Zephyrian system. They're not planning to negotiate." The crisis that followed would test everything the network had learned about strength, cooperation, and survival. The Hegemon Empire possessed weapons that could destroy planets, shields that could deflect entire star systems' worth of energy, and a military doctrine that had never known defeat. Against them stood a network of species that had learned to survive not through conquest, but through cooperation. The coming conflict would determine whether the galaxy's future belonged to the strong who dominated or the strong who protected. "We have a choice," Chen said during a broadcast that reached every species in the network. "We can hide, we can run, or we can fight. But if we fight, we don't fight as humans or Zephyrians or Chromari. We fight as something new, a galactic family that refuses to let its members face extinction alone. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Every species in the network volunteered to defend the Zephyrian system. The Chromari contributed their crystalline armor technologies. The Aquari provided advanced shielding systems. The Voltani developed communication networks that could coordinate the defense of an entire star system. But the most important contribution came from the Zephyrians themselves. "We have learned from humans that some things are worth fighting for," Lyrian announced. "Our children, our friends, our values, these are worth defending. We will not fight to conquer or destroy. We will fight to protect and preserve." The Battle of Zephyria began when the Hegemon fleet entered the system and immediately opened fire on the orbital platforms. The network's response was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, not a chaotic free-for-all, but a coordinated defense that used each species' unique strengths. The Aquari ships created water-based shields that could absorb energy weapon impacts. The Chromari vessels fired crystalline projectiles that could pierce through the strongest armor. The Voltani provided real-time tactical coordination across light-years of space. The Botanari contributed biological weapons that could disable ships without killing crews. And the humans provided what they had always provided, the refusal to give up, the determination to find a way to win even when victory seemed impossible. "Their shields are too strong," reported Captain Rodriguez from the command ship. "We can't break through with conventional weapons." "Then we don't use conventional weapons," replied Dr. Chen, who had volunteered to coordinate the defense. "We use human weapons, creativity, desperation, and the willingness to try the impossible." The turning point came when the network implemented a strategy that the Hegemon Empire had never encountered. They used their rescue techniques as weapons. The same atmospheric processors that had saved the Zephyrians from their dying star were modified to create localized atmospheric disruptions around Hegemon ships, disabling their engines without destroying them. The same biological adaptation techniques that had helped species survive were used to create viruses that could shut down Hegemon computer systems without harming the crews. The same quantum communication technology that had started the entire network was used to transmit surrender offers directly to individual Hegemon soldiers, bypassing their command structure and appealing to their individual conscience. "We don't want to destroy you," the message read. "We want to save you. Your empire teaches you that the weak deserve extinction, but we know better. Everyone deserves a chance to survive, to grow, to become something greater than they were. Even you." The strategy worked. Ship after ship of the Hegemon fleet began to surrender, their crews defecting to the network rather than continue fighting for an empire that saw them as disposable. The Hegemon commanders, faced with mass defection and weapons they couldn't understand, were forced to retreat. "This is impossible," transmitted the Hegemon admiral. "How can weakness defeat strength?" "Because you misunderstand what strength means," Chen replied. "You think strength is the ability to destroy. We know that strength is the ability to protect, to preserve, to help others become strong themselves. You've created an empire of fear. We've created a family of hope." The aftermath of the Battle of Zephyria transformed the galaxy. The Hegemon Empire, faced with mass defections and a philosophy that had been proven wrong, began to crumble from within. Many of their former subjects joined the rescue network, bringing with them stories of oppression and gratitude for liberation. But the network's response to their defeated enemies surprised everyone, including themselves. "We could destroy the Hegemon Empire," Lyrian said during a network council meeting. "Their fleet is scattered, their people are in rebellion, their philosophy is discredited. We could end them completely." "But we won't," Chen replied. "Because that would make us like them. Instead, we're going to do something that will really drive them crazy, we're going to rescue them." The proposal was audacious: offer the Hegemon Empire membership in the rescue network, teaching them to use their military expertise for protection rather than conquest. Many species objected, arguing that the Hegemons couldn't be trusted. "They can't be trusted as conquerors," Chen agreed. "But maybe they can be trusted as guardians. Their military skills, their technology, their organizational abilities, imagine what they could accomplish if they were fighting for life instead of death." The offer was controversial, but it was extended. The Hegemon Empire's response was even more surprising than their defeat had been. We accept, came the transmission from the new Hegemon government. But we don't understand. We tried to destroy you. Why would you help us? Because that's what families do, Chen replied. We help each other become better than we were. The integration of the Hegemon Empire into the rescue network was neither quick nor easy. Generations of conquest-based thinking didn't change overnight. But slowly, gradually, the former empire began to transform. Their military expertise was redirected toward defending rescue operations. Their conquest fleets became exploration vessels. Their weapons of war became tools of construction. The final test of the network's philosophy came when they received a transmission from the most unlikely source imaginable. This is the Overmind Collective, the message began. We are a hive mind species that has observed your network's activities. We do not understand your concept of individual worth, but we are dying. Our collective consciousness is fragmenting. We need help. The Overmind Collective was a species that had evolved beyond individual identity, existing as a single shared consciousness across millions of bodies. They had always viewed individual life as meaningless, but now their collective mind was suffering from what could only be described as a form of cosmic depression. We have achieved perfect unity, their transmission continued. But we have lost something. We watch your network, with its chaos and conflict and individual dreams, and we feel empty. We have gained everything and lost ourselves. Please, can you teach us how to be individuals again? The mission to help the Overmind Collective was unlike anything the network had ever attempted. How do you teach a hive mind to value individual life? How do you help a collective consciousness rediscover personal identity? The answer came from an unexpected source, the children of the various rescued species. Adults have trouble understanding, explained young Zara, a human child who had grown up in the network. But kids get it. The Overmind is like a big family that forgot how to play games together. They need to remember how to be different from each other. The solution was brilliant in its simplicity. The network's children began communicating with individual Overmind bodies, teaching them games, stories, and art forms that required personal creativity and individual expression. Slowly, the collective consciousness began to fragment, not into chaos, but into harmony. We are still connected, transmitted the Overmind after months of work. But now we are connected by choice, not compulsion. We have learned that unity is stronger when it is chosen by individuals rather than imposed by the collective. The Overmind's transformation completed the network's evolution. They now included species that had learned to survive through cooperation, former conquerors who had learned to protect rather than dominate, and a hive mind that had learned to value individual life. We have become something unprecedented, Lyrian told Chen during a ceremony marking the network's 10th anniversary. A galactic civilization that proves the strong can choose to lift up the weak rather than destroy them. And we're just getting started, Chen replied, looking out at the stars. There are billions of species out there, billions of worlds, billions of opportunities to prove that strength and compassion aren't opposites, they're partners. The final message in this story comes not from the network's founders, but from a species that had not yet been contacted, a young civilization just beginning to explore beyond their homeworld. We have detected your transmissions, their message began. We are the keepers of the 7th star. We have listened to your stories, your rescues, your transformations. We have learned that the universe is not a cold and empty place, but a home filled with family we have not yet met. We are not dying. We are not under threat. We are not stagnating. But we would like to join your network anyway, because we have learned the most important lesson of all: strength is not about what you can do for yourself, but what you can do for others. The response that the network sent back would become their official motto, transmitted to every species they encountered. Welcome to the family. We are the Galactic Rescue Network, and we believe that every life has value, every species has potential, and every world deserves a chance to thrive. We are strong not because we have conquered the galaxy, but because we have learned to love it. As Dr. Sarah Chen sat in her laboratory on Earth, now 67 years old and the unofficial grandmother of galactic civilization, she reflected on the journey that had begun with a simple SOS transmission. The alien voice that had called out for help had not just saved their own world, they had saved the entire galaxy from a future of conquest and domination. "We answered one SOS," she wrote in her final journal entry. "And it taught us that the true strength of humanity isn't our ability to fight, but our refusal to let others fight alone. We are not the strongest species in the galaxy. We are not the smartest, or the most advanced, or the most numerous. But we are the species that answers when others call for help. And that, more than any weapon or technology or empire, is what will ensure that life continues to flourish among the stars." The story of the SOS that revealed humanity's true strength to the galaxy was really the story of how the galaxy learned to be strong together. It was the story of how the fight for survival became a fight for the survival of all life everywhere. And in the end, that fight was won not by the strongest, but by those who chose to make everyone else stronger too. The signal that started it all, the desperate SOS from a dying world, continued to echo through the galaxy, not as a cry for help, but as a call to action. Every species that heard it learned the same lesson: true strength comes not from standing alone, but from ensuring that no one has to stand alone. The Galactic Rescue Network grew to include thousands of species, millions of worlds, and billions of individual lives that had been given a second chance because someone answered their call for help. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth that had taken humanity thousands of years to learn and only one desperate alien transmission to understand. The strongest thing anyone can do is help someone else become strong. The SOS that had revealed humanity's true strength to the galaxy had revealed something even more important: that strength shared is strength multiplied, and that the universe is only as strong as its weakest member. In choosing to answer that call for help, humanity had not just saved one species, they had saved the very concept of civilization itself. And the signal continued to travel, carrying its message of hope and cooperation to species not yet discovered, worlds not yet explored, and futures not yet imagined. The SOS had become something greater than a call for help. It had become a promise that help would always come, that no one would face extinction alone, and that somewhere in the vast darkness of space, there were voices ready to answer when someone called. The true strength of humanity, revealed to the galaxy through a simple transmission, was not the ability to destroy, but the willingness to preserve. Not the power to conquer, but the courage to protect. Not the drive to dominate, but the determination to serve. And in serving others, humanity had found its own salvation, not just as a species, but as a force for good in a universe that had forgotten what good could accomplish. The SOS was answered. The galaxy was saved. And the story continued, one rescue at a time, one species at a time, one act of courage at a time. Because that's what families do for each other. And the galaxy, thanks to one desperate call for help and one species brave enough to answer, had finally learned to be a family. The signal faded, but its echo would last forever. Help is coming. You are not alone. We are stronger together. And in the vast expanse of space, on worlds not yet discovered, other species would hear that echo and know that the universe, despite its size and darkness, was full of light cast by those who refused to let others suffer in silence. The SOS had revealed humanity's true strength. But more than that, it had revealed the true strength of life itself, the power to reach across the void, to answer the call of the desperate, and to transform the cry for help into a song of hope that would echo through the stars for all eternity. The galaxy was safe. The network was strong. And somewhere in the darkness, another species was preparing to send their own SOS, knowing that when they did, the answer would come not from one world, but from thousands, united in the simple belief that every life mattered and that no one should face extinction alone. The story ended where it began, with a signal traveling through space. But this time, it wasn't a cry for help. It was a promise: we are here. We are listening. We will answer. And the galaxy, vast and beautiful and full of life, sang back in harmony: we are strong. We are together. We are home.